I know the biggest thing for my father was his ultimate goal was that one day to be self-sufficient and to be his own boss basically. But a lot of people think that that comes very easily, but it's actually quite on the converse. I mean, it's a tremendous amount of long hours, blood, sweat, and tears. And it's a pure passion that you need. But I know that was his driving force. Is he clearly had the skill set, and he saw amongst his peers, that he was in the upper percentile in terms of knowledge and machining capability. And I think it just got to a point once he was able to understand and kind of, I think more for him, it was just being acclimated to the environment. And then once he felt that he had a good grasp, he was ready to make that jump. Which which is I'm incredible. I grow a greater and greater appreciation and fondness for him every day, as I think about that fork in the road of his life when he decided to do that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, well, I guess just like any great American business story, he actually founded the business out of a garage. So he immigrated from Poland, and he had a very strong technological and mathematical background, and he was always interested with fixing gadgets and things like that. So he had a natural attraction and appreciation for machining. He started working in a machining company based over here in Chicago, and eventually decided to break off and start his own. It wasn't easy. It presented its challenges, but thankfully we had our family supporting us. And actually, my two uncles left their respective roles in their machining companies to help join and found JBW. So I definitely spent. It was just one summer that I did one going in. It was my uh, senior year of high school, going into freshman year of college. But at that point, I mean, I had no machining knowledge really, and I just was trying to scrape together a couple of bucks to buy my laptop for school, right? But that was my first, kind of real introduction into the business. I've always heard about it through osmosis at home or whatnot, but that's where I got the chance to see it on a daily basis. There was a few times when I was younger that my mom would take me to work with her when she was doing, payroll or whatever the case would be. But I was just more, playing with my toy. I was much younger at the time. But it was that experience to where I really kind of saw how the operation worked. Then I went on to get my undergraduate degree at Marquette, and immediately after, I went on to get my master's in business at IE University in Madrid, Spain. So it was one thing after another, and then I had a few corporate roles right after my business school experience, just to see how large organizations work, how they're structured, get some critical training in terms of customer relations, sales, marketing, operations, accounting, things like that. And then going and learning more about the business and looking back and seeing how much it had grown from the time that I started my undergrad to when after I finished business school, and then having a little bit better understanding of business, obviously because of the master's degree. I really saw the tremendous opportunity and what was built over several decades of work, and I was ready, more than willing and ready to apply what I had learned in practicality in my previous experiences to join and grow the family business. I've always been like that. I think it's just kind of in my nature. I always wanted to come back to Chicago. My two older brothers, for example, I have one that switches between Boston and Poland, and the other in LA. And they've always been that way. They've always been on one coast or the other. They've literally lived on all the coasts, either Miami or Boston or LA or somewhere. At some point, Chicago a little bit, but they've always been further away. Maybe it's because I'm the youngest and the baby of the family too, that I always wanted to be back home and closer to my parents and I guess my upbringing. But that's always been a big factor for me, as being close to home. And I knew that there would be opportunities, plenty of opportunities in Chicago. And the more and more I dove into and evaluated just the family business, and was able to now have a little bit of a higher level discussion with my father about the business, the potential, the current status, what room for improvement there may be, and what I can be able to bring from my academic background and studies that could be beneficial. It made a lot of sense, and the more and more we had conversations and discussed that opportunity, the more and more I became increasingly interested. And I knew there was still a whole other element of the technical and manufacturing side that I literally had zero experience in. And this is just this past September, a month ago, marks my 6th year. And I'm still learning a tremendous amount to this day, and I will continue to do so. But thankfully, he still obviously owns the business, and he still comes in on a daily basis. So I'm able to soak in as much knowledge as I can every day. Once I started again being involved with the whole operations and seeing the physical, tangible, finished parts, that is another incredible thing, because you see the prints and you see the companies that these prints are for, and you're able to touch, see, and feel that product that you're making and that you're responsible for, that's going to the customer, and what it will be used for. And again, everything from automotive, oil and gas, medical devices, aerospace and defense. I mean, the end applications are vast, and they're in some cases hypercritical, right? So having that knowledge of knowing what it's being used for, but then being intimately involved in each step of the process, from raw material to finished product, which for some of these parts are several steps, including all outside whatever elements that need to be done to it, whether it be like a heat treating, a coating, etc. That was really cool. And then to see that finished part, and have ownership of that, saying this part represents JBW, and then furthermore, if it's for a customer of mine, myself, you really have a sense of pride and a great sense of ownership for that. And then that reflects upon the business, which again was started by our family and my father and my uncles. So you really have a very close, probably much closer tie to that part than most people. Manufacturing is the backbone of any healthy economy. So I think that Americans in general, they always have that appreciation for manufacturing, and then it would only be further appreciated, or more appreciated, if they were to really understand what goes into everything on a daily basis to be able to get those parts made. Well, for me, it's nice that for all of our customers, and especially with the particular groups that I deal with, that either I brought on through various networking events, a few from the TMA email blasts, and then a few just from word of mouth, is being somebody that other people can rely on when things are very challenging for them, or they may be in a difficult situation, and being able to execute and help them achieve their projects or deadline, or whatever the case would be. So I take I have a big appreciation for the human element, the relational element, and really not only having, for in several cases, customers, but became friends. There's a few that even came to my wedding. So it's a very I think, with it being so close to my heart in terms of it being a family business, and with it being so close to me, that extends into our products, and that extends to the customers too. So I never treat anybody or act in a way that I wouldn't want to be treated in return. So that's been one of the really most gratifying aspects, is knowing that what I'm doing is going to help them, and it's going to be done the right way with the right level of quality, and then obviously at the best price point I can too, right? So it's really cool.
Can you imagine what it was like? Where TMA is coming up on 100 years. Okay, we're at 98 now, and I think about that what it was like when they first formed this association. And these, they were in some ways competitive. They were competing for the same customers. At the same time, they knew there was just, I've been there. It's like, I'm sure doctors, they know what it's like to be a doctor or a nurse or whatever.
Hmm.
The same thing with manufacturers. You just know what it is to get through that. And I think that the network and their local aspect, that they were able to say, like if you said, I need coding and this guy down the street can do it or whatever, there was an attraction to Chicago because it was accessible. I mean, you
Right.
didn't have to ship it across have
Right.
a high lead time or something in order to get something achieved. You knew somebody who could help you that way. And that seems to me, Chicago was huge about, back even 75 years ago, like that.
Yeah.
Do you still kind of benefit from having neighbors? When I say neighbors, even within the region that you could work with that help, and
Oh, tremendously, tremendously. I mean, it can make or break you sometimes. There was just not too long ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. I mean, I before I left for my honeymoon, I had some parts that were shipped to one place for an outside treating process, and I specifically made sure that they were packed and sent out before I left. So I wouldn't have to worry about it when I came back because I knew I was going to have so much stuff on my plate already. And then I got back, and then a full week passed, and that same initial company said that they were not able to, that they weren't able to do it for me after reviewing the print that I had already sent. So it kind of put me in a tough spot, and there was a few companies that I had a call that could do it, but they were on either coast, so that would, I'm already 4 weeks behind the scheduling that it should have been already delivered. So it caused some concern, but yeah, I was able to find a local supplier that was able to get it done in 4 days. And I mean, if it weren't for that, it would have been a nightmare. It would have been very problematic.
But do you have this? I'm leading into the value of being in an association where you
Yeah,
can reach out to others, where somebody maybe knows somebody if they don't do it themselves, right?
of
I mean,
course, it's
the
huge.
value of that, even in a day where we can go on a website. But if I got to ship something to China that's going to take 6 months, and 6 months back, I don't know what that noise is, but that's weird. To go back and forth 6 months, we still value having
A local community, it's
yeah,
tremendous. Yeah,
yeah.
no, it's absolutely tremendous, and it's something that that I've appreciated again more and more through the TMA, and after being able to meet so many local suppliers that have all so many various offerings. And I myself have been on the other end, or sending Kent a request for an email blast for whatever the coding or material, whatever the case would be, and the number of responses are immediate and high quality. It's just a tremendous asset and a tremendous benefit to be a member. And that's actually one of my biggest pushes. The first thing that I did was because we were members prior to myself starting with the company, but that was one of the first biggest pushes that I wanted to get done for JBW, was to absolutely become a member of the TMA, just because I knew the tremendous benefits, the networking, and the opportunities that would result. And I mean, the results speak for themselves. I have nothing but the utmost regard and the highest appreciation for what you guys do and what you continue to do. It's very special.